Hi everyone, let's go through my preferred bullish and bearish scenarios on the high time frame, the medium time frame and the low time frame, including potential trading setup. So my at least short-term bullish scenario is that this is a WXY, where currently wave X is an expanded flat ABC, currently moving to the upside in a fifth wave towards the most common wave C target between 27.7k and 34k, which happens to have very nice confluence, with this support area then turning resistance for a potential interesting short setup that you can see over here, entering with some shorts in the white box and eventually the stop loss somewhere above, taking into account that the rare wave C target is still up here, so price can still move into this area, something to note for the stop loss, but then eventually trading it down for a wave Y. Now we just finished wave 4 as well. Wave 4 bounced on the 0.5 Fibonacci, which is a great target for a wave 4. The trading setup was relatively easy, as the daily candles were not allowed to close below the 0.5 Fibonacci as a maximum target for a wave 4. And also wave 4 is not allowed to enter the price action of a wave 1. So that is then the invalidation for eventually a long setup to the upside. Also important to note is this level over here, 29.7k, as that is the 0.382 Fibonacci taken from the all-time high to the low of W, and the red wave X minimum target is usually the 0.382. Now the more bearish scenario on the higher time frame would be that wave C and X are already in, and we are currently moving to the downside for wave Y. Now moving to the downside can have all sorts of different complex patterns, as it is a corrective move like a three-wave structure. And in this scenario, we would then be in some sort of a three-wave structure over here for the wave A. Eventually, we're looking for a three-wave structure in the wave B, which I will talk more about on the medium time frame count that I have, the bearish one. And then eventually from the B, we go down for C, where the most common target for then an expanded flat in the first wave A of potentially the bigger wave Y down at like 10k is the 1.38 and the 1.236 trend-based Fib extension target, or Fibonacci target, taken from the high over here where C is made to the low of A. Now if we then go to the medium time frame bearish scenario, which basically links to the scenario I just mentioned, and we go to a little bit of a lower time frame, we could be looking for this. As you can see, my brush is still exactly the same. We then have a three-wave structure over here in the A, and we are looking for a three-wave structure in B to then, the blue B that is, to finish the green B, because eventually an expanded flat is a 3-3-5 wave structure with then an impulsive move to the downside in this wave C. However, as it stands now, you can clearly see that this move up so far does not have a three-wave structure. So far it's been very bullish, very impulsive, and we didn't really have the time yet to come down, which might happen now, but more about that on the lower time frame. So in order for this to be some sort of a valid three-wave move, we need a wave to the downside, and actually a wave that is pretty deep to the downside, because eventually we want the wave C over here of this then A, B, C. The blue C needs to likely end in between the 1.38 and the 1.236 target for a wave B. And as wave A and wave C are one-to-one correlated, and this wave A is so long already, it basically means that this wave C has to go down to about, let's say, like the 786 or the 886 level target to eventually reach the most common target for wave C, which then is the wide one-to-one that you see over here. Now this is definitely an alternative scenario, and the bearish scenario, not my preferred scenario, but I think it is important to at least share it with you, so it's something to think about, because my preferred scenario again is that wave C, or wave 4 sorry, is in, and wave 4 was a three-wave structure, a WXY, Y hitting the 1.618 Fib, which is a rare target for wave Y, taken from the highs of W to the low of W to the high of X, ending wave 4, now up for wave 5. Now the medium time frame, a bullish setup is quite difficult because we have been pushing to the upside so much, and it's, you know, about time that we are moving a little bit to the upside, or downside I mean. If we continue to move to the upside, there is simply no scenario or no setup to give, because the setup was down here. This is where the setup was for the longs. Now we have to wait for at least a solid retracement to give us the signs for another setup. Now if we then go to the lower time frame, I have 3 scenarios to share, where there's 2 bullish ones and 1 bearish one. So the first bullish one that I like to share is the one that you see in the chart right now, where we have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And that basically what you see over here is a blue wave 4, and then we expect a wave 5 to the upside. Now, it is officially invalidated if we go far below the 0.5 with a couple of candles. However, I put the invalidation here just because, but yeah, Elliott wave rule wise, wave 4, when it is passing the 0.5 fib, it becomes unlikely it is a wave 4. And that is also when my other scenario kicks in. Now for me, this one at the moment, this scenario is an alternative, because my preferred scenario would be something like this. The reason I like it has multiple reasons. First of all, we could see this as a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or at least here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 inside the 3, some sort over 4 over here, and then the final push here was then a 5. And then eventually we have a to the downside, like a 5-wave structure, which you'll see on the very low time frame count. 5-wave structure looking for a 3-wave in the B, which might be finished already, and then eventually another 5-wave to the downside to hit this interesting target box, which also has the golden pocket taken from the low of the impulse over here to the high of 1, and it has a couple of interesting confluences. Now this is then a interesting potential trading setup depending on how we're going to approach this target box level, and the target box is between 22.5 basically and 21.9k. So if we move down, this can be an interesting setup. Now where the stop loss should be is a little bit of a question mark, as a wave 2 can go pretty deep. So I now have the golden pocket on my chart. However, a wave 2 can go all the way down to, well, the 886 is very rare, but the 786 is still quite common for a wave 2 actually. So we still have to wait on where to put the stop loss, but it is an interesting area for when price is reaching this area. You will be the first to know, to see how we can make use of the scenario that we get at that specific moment in time. Now, if we then go to the more bearish scenario, which would be very odd. You can see there's very limited technical analysis, but it's an idea, is that this is a wave 1, then we have a 2, and then we look for a 3, 4, 5. So a bigger wave A basically in a bigger ABC, taking more time than this very short ABC. So this ABC can only be the first structure, and then we have A over here. Then we have a 3-wave move in a B, and then we have another move to the downside in then a C. Therefore, the basically consolidation or the correction of this impulsive move takes a little bit more time. So the low time frame scenario that currently or still is my preferred is basically this one, where either B is in or not, doesn't really matter, but at least I would love to see a little bit more downside to eventually have a proper potential trading setup. Because what is happening over here, this looks like an impulsive structure, and I'm basically waiting for another leg to the downside, which at least looks a little bit similar or is a clear 5-wave structure. So yeah, that's what I'm waiting for. Potentially we move up, but hey, it's all about probabilities. At least for now. If this video was helpful or valuable to you, a subscribe would mean a lot to me as a young channel, as it is an indicator of how well I'm able to help and educate people like yourself. And if you're not ready for that kind of commitment just yet, feel free to just hit the like button of this video instead. Thank you, and see you at my next Bitcoin update video. Bye bye.